Here we are, Antonio.
He's a little bit crooked.
I think you're a little bit crooked. I think it's pretty good.
He's a little bit crooked.
Let's hit record on this one as well. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at podcast, whatever the number is, with my good friend Antonio, one of my favourite people in the world. Antonio is...
Both ways.
A lot of people would know the story of Antonio, how he's been attacked by pigs so many times, but beyond that, Antonio has actually been a really, what could we call you in Australia? A massive influence in Australian bow hunting. It's like something that you've really been hard up on, is you've gone extreme with it. You actually come away from fishing, from being an extreme fisherman to an extreme bow hunter, and you've been a big voice in Australia for anyone that doesn't already know that. But all the praises aside, you're just a top dude to hang around with, and we always have a good time, don't we? And chat and catch up, and
I feel like I'm good to laugh at.
you're good to laugh at. But literally every hunt that we go on, like without even any major plans, it's just, you know, every hunt ends up being a crazy hunt. So, which is really fun and enjoyable.
Yep.
Best
Hunts are unplanned hunts.
That's it. Yeah, the one we just had with Lonnie Broke Man. I think
Lonnie Cash.
Lonnie Cashless. But no, that was good. It was fairly unplanned. We went out, and the property owner was having a lot of issues with foxes and pigs on his place, and I think we ended up getting 16 or 17 pigs between the three of us, and
9 foxes.
10 foxes, yeah. So no, it was a good hunt, and it was just there was a lot of laughs. So I come back telling jokes to Kim or just our experiences for like a week after that hunt, just getting her to crack up laughing over it as well, which is cool.
Mainly based around me.
Mostly based around you. But
I'm light entertainment, good value.
yeah, you definitely are. But I thought we could cover a few subjects today. Probably hunting opportunities in Australia, and then probably hunting the US as a non-resident as well. We could cover those couple of topics. You know, I get sort of pumped with those questions about coming out to Australia and hunting, and you know what's involved and what people need and things like that to be able to come out. And
Even Australians want to get hunting in Australia who don't know a lot about.
exactly.
There's a lot of new people coming into the sport, following the social media scene and getting introduced to the likes of yourself through the Joe Rogan podcast. So now there's a whole new wave of people coming in who are interested in getting involved. And so yeah, there's plenty of opportunities out there. A lot of people just don't know where to start, how to get into it. So we'll cover a fair bit of that and some of the benefits that come with it as well, because a lot of people, you know, a lot of the reason why a lot of people have held back from hunting and things like that is just because of the persona that it gives off, that it's barbaric and all those sorts of things. But when people start to know a lot more of the positives that go with it, they get a lot more interested in it, and then actually start to get wanting to do it. So, you know, there's a few more of those things we can cover off too, so people do know, like, I definitely want to hunt.
Yeah, that key is just education, and then you know, a lot of understanding ends up coming with that education. So I suppose the first one is we just cover the hunting opportunities in Australia for residents and non-residents. And I know that you've been heavily involved with that, especially going back a couple of years ago now, where it was all sort of ramping up.
Yeah, well, there was a time, and it's probably, it's 5 years ago now, when here in this state where we live, New South Wales, they did open up public land hunting, and it was a good thing that had happened. It was the first time it had happened where the government got involved and, you know, nominated deer as game species and recognised the value in hunting. And then it all went a bit pear-shaped on a government level, and they actually banned bow hunting and black powder. And at the time, like, it was quite scary because we're also passionate about our pastime that we love. And yeah, they actually said the words that bow hunting and black powder were banned. So that marked a big drive within the whole hunting community, not just bow hunting. We sort of, you know, everybody rounded up, all the gun hunters and everybody from everywhere got involved, and it was a good collaborative effort. And we actually lobbied the government and got hunting back on track. So at the time they had what was called the Game Council. The Game Council is what started a hunting registration system where you could hunt public land. they were disbanded during the banning of the bow hunting and the black powder, and then they formed what's called the DPI. So that's the Department of Primary Industries. Well, they took over the whole Game Council model, and then so we basically forced them to back away from banning the bow hunting and the black powder, which obviously is the next step then to ban all forms of hunting. It's always the way they work. They take one chip at a time. And I don't think they got more than they bargained for, basically, because everybody just got together and then they realised actually how many people it affected. So then from there, so right now, and that is your prime source of getting access in New South Wales is the Department of Primary Industries. They've got a website, they've got hunting licence registration and things like that, so we'll probably mention that a few times. That's basically where a lot of your opportunity is going to come from, being an out-of-stater from New South Wales or coming in from an international. That'll be your prime site. Victoria as well also has a lot of public land, a lot less regulation around getting the licence. You basically just have to apply online to get a Victorian hunting licence. And there's vast tracts of land and wilderness area that's available to anybody. You can just rock up, park your car, go and hunt. New South Wales, still a few more restrictions which we'll cover. And in all the other states, there's no government-sponsored hunting in a sense where you can just, there's some public land, go and hunt it. In all the other states, you've got to have some form of private access or contacts who can get you onto properties and things like that.
Yeah, so open season, there's no closed season for anything that we bow hunt in those other states. So it's open year round. There's no licensing in those states. But you do need a foot in the door onto some private land to be able to go there and hunt. And that's another thing that we should cover with, non-residents or even people from other states in Australia, like is try the swap hunt. Like what can you offer another hunter? Get talking, do a background check behind that other hunter and, just start talking and be a part of the hunting community. And those sort of opportunities will arise and you can head out there. And the other thing we should say is, talking about these licensing, is none of these are a hard task. None of them are hard to get, so don't shy away like, oh, there's a license involved, I have to do some course online or join some, hunting organisation. It's like a really easy task to be done with great benefits.
Yeah. So Victoria is straight out. Go online, buy your Victorian game licence. It'll come to you in the mail, away you go. In New South Wales, there's a couple of different licences you can get. One's called a G licence, it's a general hunting licence. So if you're going to hunt anything at all, you basically, especially like your deer species, you have to have a G licence to hunt on private land. So if you're coming to Australia or you come from out of state, you want to hunt on, you've got access to private land or you've got friends that you're going to hunt with, you have to go online and pay for a G licence. It's just simply putting your details in, applying for it and getting it in the mail. Just some basic questions in there for you. And then you've got what they call the R licence, that's a restricted licence. So the R licence is a licence that allows you to hunt on public land. So in New South Wales currently, hunting takes place on what we call state forests. So you've got national parks, they're all closed at the moment for hunting in New South Wales. And then we have tracts of land called state forests. So they're state-owned land. A lot of them have pine plantations and things like that on them. And quite a few of them have very, very good hunting opportunities, which, again, if you do your research, we're not going to give anybody spots away or anything like that because it's not kosher in the hunting community to give away spots. But there's definitely some very prime spots with some state forest. So to get a restricted licence, you basically, if you go online and you look up the R licence, what it will tell you is you need to be a part of an approved hunting organisation. And the moment when you go in there, they actually give you a list. With the approved hunting organisation, you then they have a written test, basically that you have to sit down with somebody and do a written test. I'm not 100% sure, I don't know if some of the bow hunting education courses in the States will allow you, if you pass those results on, they may get you over the line, but I'm pretty sure it'll be easy to line up if you have a look before you come to Australia or something like that, to go and see someone. There's always going to be someone in a town or a city near where you're going to go that's going to be an approved tester for you. You can go sit down and do the test, only take half an hour to an hour, and then you'll be able to get your restricted licence. So with your restricted licence, they then have a booking system and you have to book out blocks within those state forests to hunt them. So it's a little bit more restrictive in terms of being quick and mobile and things like that.
That's really good in a sense, though, because you know these guys that are going and hunting the restricted areas can, you know, they're sort of rest assured that they're not going to get in there and there's another 100 hunters in there at the same time.
That is the beauty of it.
Like you literally have your own big parcel of land to hunt on.
Yeah, so each state forest has been researched, obviously, and for its land size and all those sorts of things, it says, well, this one can accommodate 2 hunters at once. This place is so big, it can accommodate 4. So the moment that's booked out, that whole block that you're there, you might, if you're in a party of 2 and there's 4 people, you may come across 2 others, but you can actually check if there are going to be other people there. Otherwise, you'll get a lot of areas to yourself. And some of these places in like Western New South Wales are huge. Like you're talking, you know, it could be 1 million acres or something like that you have access to. And there's pigs and goats and foxes everywhere, and you know you can have a really good bomb up. No guilt bomb up, because you know all that sort of hunting is. The reason why they're allowing it is because it costs the government X amount of dollars to go in there and pay professional shooters to shoot and cull these animals. Or the other part of the model, which is beautiful, is we're hunters, we're paying for the right to do it. We're actually paying for the privilege of going and doing it, and then we're paying for fuel, paying for camping gear, all those sorts of things go into it. And so we're putting back into the economy to take something out of the economy that taxpayer normally pays for. So it's not a bad thing.
There's a big, we'll touch on this now because I always get pretty swamped with this one, but there's a big difference between the US hunting model, hunting natives, and they do it in such a fashion that from all the research that we've done, you know, the animal population keeps rising at the same time, so it's healthy, it's good for conservation.
Yeah.
The Australian model is we're not hunting natives. These are all introduced invasive species, and actually every act of hunting and taking animals here in Australia actually is working towards conservation in a completely different way, where these animals are, you know, pretty much eco-terrorists, and every animal that you take out is saving the government money, taxpayers' money, it's saving the environment here, and
it's growing the economy.
It's growing the economy massively, yeah. But I don't want that to come across as in a, you know, in a murderous sense, you know, like
here to wipe everything out.
No, we're here to wipe everything out. These animals are always going to be here. It's too late, you know, but it's about managing the numbers a lot better. And that's what we mean. Like you can, you know, Australia is an overpopulation in Australia when it's an invasive species. So every animal that you can get out and hunt, and it's a good deed towards conservation.
So just on the history of that and species available, I mean that's another topic in itself. I mean, so in Australia we have 6 species of deer. We have red deer, rusa, chital, hog deer, sambar deer, and fallow deer. I forget fallow, my God. And so every single one of those species was brought here by Europeans in the main, all Europeans, even though they bought them from places that weren't European, and they were all brought here for hunting purposes. Buffalo, bantang, same. They were brought here. So in like the early 1840s, 1850s, they started to colonise Northern Territory. They had missions up there, so they brought buffalo and bantang along as a beef source, a meat source basically. And then when those missions were abandoned, the buffalo and that would just turn loose. So now they roam all over the northern part of Northern Territory. Then foxes were brought in as sport, a very bad sport. They brought rabbits in for hunting as well, and both of those have caused so much damage over the years. We've had rabbits in particular, we've had some massive plagues. If you can find some old footage of some old rabbit plagues.
These animals have changed the landscape of Australia in a big way.
They have. I mean, there's always been a thing that people have said, like in Australia, all our native animals, so that's a very important thing. So everybody needs to understand, Australians and Americans, as again, there are new hunters getting into it in Australia that are looking for information and need to be educated. There's not a single native species in Australia you're allowed to hunt.
Yeah.
That's basically it. We do have kangaroo hunting permits. People shoot them under a tag system, only ever allowed to be shot with a rifle. And kangaroos get in plague proportions as well, just like a rat or a mouse or rabbits do. So they are allowing certain amount of kangaroos to be shot each year. Otherwise, they just would wipe out.
Shot, but not hunted, because there's definitely a big difference there as well.
I mean, most of them are shot under the light.
Yeah,
it's actually it's a meat processing industry. You're just going to, you don't put a fence up to keep kangaroos in. They just run around everywhere, go out and crack it. Yeah. 20, 30, 40 a night. And, there's good money in it. Some of the guys we know are really good hunters, and they are kangaroo shooters as well. That's their income. That's part of an industry.
What about magpie geese? Are they native?
Magpie geese are native.
Okay, so there's a season for magpie geese.
In Northern Territory?
Yeah. Yeah. And there'd be a season for some duck species for duck shooters, but as far as bow hunting goes, there's no natives except for the magpie geese in that season that can be bow hunted.
Yeah, they're the only thing, and they're the only bird you can shoot. I guess you can shoot pheasants too, but it's not like something new.
No, that's right. Yeah,
there's not a lot of opportunities to hunt pheasants in Australia anyway. And then in Australia, so you've got buffalo, banteng.
So there's 27 huntable species in Australia. I did that.
Yeah, so there's goats, feral goats, we call them.
Yeah, hares or jackrabbits.
Hares.
There's all the odd things like donkeys, camels, scrub bulls,
wild dogs,
feral
cats. Cats are the huge problem. We've always talked about them, but cats.
And I'll tell you why they're a huge problem, because Australia's very unique native animals had no natural predators at all. So Australia's, a lot of the birds nested on the ground. It's like, and a lot of them just don't have defenses against predators. And that's why when, feral cats and foxes are introduced to Australia, they were just devastating to the environment. And like that trip when we were out west, where the feral cats numbers got so bad that obviously they'd wiped out most of the ground nesting birds out from, on the dry land. And we actually witnessed these feral cats swimming across these lakes at night and going out to the big deadfall timber and stuff like that out on the lake, where the birds were nesting in the trees on the lake thinking they were safe, and these feral cats are swimming out there at night and eating all the chicks and the nesting birds. So
and these are like beautiful parrots and rosellas and all those sorts of things, and cockatoos, and there's some rare cockatoos in Australia, so they're devastating. Like where we work in the Pilbara, there is feral cats there, not as bad as the eastern side of the country, but when you do drive around there of a night with lights, you do see a lot of birds just still sitting on the ground. But it only takes a few cats starting to spread out there, which they are, and then they can be devastated.
I actually get sick of justifying this, because for me and you, it's just in Australia, it's just normal, it's natural. We're understanding of it. But most of my audience not being Australian, I feel like I have to keep defending it. And I don't want this podcast just to be.
Well, it's not a defense; it's education.
It's education. Yeah.
People are only going to go with what they know.
I just get sick of saying it.
But people naturally are only ever going to go to what they naturally know.
Yeah.
And what they've always known. So a fox is native in America, and they're quite rare, I guess, because coyotes smash them and all those sorts of things. Whereas foxes in Australia don't have a predator at all. Yeah. So they've been introduced by people, so then it's people's responsibility to keep them in control. Yeah.
I think they don't really have a predator, but the only sort of predator they do have, and I've seen this a couple of times, is wedge-tailed eagles trying to pick fox off. Yeah. But and there's not a bunch of wedge-tailed eagles around either, but
they're coming back.
I
noticed them a fair bit now too.
Yeah. There's a lot at the farm, which is good.
Yeah.
But foxes are just, there's just nothing to keep those things in check, like feral cats. Like, what's keeping a feral cat in check except for humans? And the government's paying millions and millions of dollars every year to try and keep these animals in control. What we're saying is hunters can have a great hand in that, while also putting into the economy and conservation, and your own health, mental health and physical health by going out and pursuing these animals. So
so that's the whole thing. If sometimes a bow hunter puts a picture up of one of these animals and people get a bit
jumping on it.
At the end of the day, these animals are being shot as quick as they can find them by paid for professional shooters that are paid for by taxpayers' dollars. So even deer, Like we know, like last year up around our farm,
Yeah.
helicopters are flying around, smashing them. Like what they say they shot 900 or something.
900 or something.
900 deer they were shot, and people are going to, you know, what'd you shoot 5 deer this year?
Yeah.
You know, there was
Doesn't
900 of them
it
shot
doesn't
by
need-
professional shooters that will pay for big bucks. Like those helicopters, they're not on $50 an hour.
Yeah.
They're
No,
on,
and look, and that has to happen.
that's part of it.
That has to happen. That's part of it. Like, we're not hating on that. That's part of it. But if there was more hunter involvement in certain areas and it was promoted and looked at by our government as a resource and income, you know, for revenue, then that would make a big difference.
So when we had this issue with the government a few years ago where they tried to ban us, so one of the big arguments we took to them, and I was a part of it, we went into Parliament and whatever and met with ministers and whatnot. So one of the big things we argued was that the government gave some figures about what had been shot professionally, and it worked out, you know, it was like, it cost the taxpayer $455 per deer. It was like $155 a goat, $175 a goat. I can't remember the figures offhand. It was like 50 odd bucks a fox. It was like
That's just
$15 a
ridiculous.
rabbit, you know,
Yeah.
like it was expensive stuff. So I think it worked out that the government had spent something like $39 million in 1 year in culling activities. Then when it turned around, and then we did a survey, and the survey was to all the hunters that had either a G license or an R license, and there was 30,000 people involved in that survey. And mind you, there was nearly 300,000 people in New South Wales alone that have a gun license, and the reason for owning their gun was hunting purposes. And then you've got, because not everyone has a G license or an R license, there's 300,000 people registered with a rifle, and there was 30,000 people who had at least a G license through the Game Council at the time. So it worked out that the amount of animals that were shot this is us paying for a license, us paying for our own fuel, paying for our own camping gear, paying for our own vehicles, paying for all those things. And I think we shot the equivalent of something like what would have cost the government to shoot the numbers that were shot by the license holders. It would have cost the government something like about $175 million for the same result for something we paid for. So then we dug further and did the survey. You know, this was run by the Game Council, the survey, and so the survey basically showed that by the time you did the statistical review and everything like that, it showed that hunters in New South Wales alone was just on nearly $1 billion a year industry. That's crazy. Like, that's a huge commodity that's just an untapped resource. And so at the time, I remember there was like a heap of Indian students down in Melbourne, and there was a bit of a crime gang going around, and people were going around and beating up these Indian students. And then the government of India did an intervention and said, we're going to pull our students out of your universities. And then there was a big thing in the mainstream media, and it was going to cost universities, it was going to cost them $40 million into the Australian economy each year to pull these things out. So we were like, you're worried about $40 million, which everyone should be worried. Everyone should be worried about people getting beat up in the street, no two ways about it. But yet you're about to turn the tap off on literally $1 billion industry that you don't even realise you have, because no one's paying attention to what hunters are doing in terms of removing animals from the landscape, and at the same time injecting so much money into the industry. It's not funny, into the economy. So, you know, they were the sorts of things that we went to the government with reasoning, saying, well, this is why you need to keep us around, don't be banning us. And, you know, they saw the light, obviously, and you know, since then I haven't paid heaps of attention to it, but I know that there's the amount of public land that's been opened up since then is just phenomenal amount of land since then. Like it was already pretty good at the time, but since then the DPI has gone out and opened up a heap more land. You know, I question a lot of some of the things that are getting done in terms of where the focus is at. So for mine, you know, the focus would be way better set on growing that ground base, supporting the industry in terms of absolutely pushing it out there, you know, getting into the mainstream media, pushing these things. And it's stuff that, you know, Adam was just printed in a major newspaper on the weekend. The whole message in that was how great hunting is, how good it is to get your own meat. I'm not here to be a Neanderthal and make a mockery of animals out in the landscape. It was all positive stuff. I didn't think there'd be one person who would have read that article and said, God, I hate hunters.
Yeah.
Everyone would have read that and said, gee, I never knew it was something like that.
No, it was really
So
good.
that's a really positive promotion for the sport, which then there could be 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 new hunters who are then going to have input. And then what happens then is our animals, like deer, have got game status. So deer are actually looked at in New South Wales as a commodity. They've been given game status.
Yeah.
The R licence applies to hunting deer, G licence applies to hunting deer, and all those sorts of things. And, you know, but a pig, a goat, people are going places and driving a long way to go and hunt those animals as well. Goats have a high value on them now as a farming commodity. So now if you want to go out and shoot a big old billy, you're going to be paying dollars to a farmer to go out and shoot a big old billy.
Yeah.
So then that's it. Now that makes it attractive in the farmer's eye.
But so that's one of the big stations that I hunted on in Western Australia. He told me that the landowner there told me a story how the government would send them a pallet of bullets and 4 rifles.
Pallet. I'm not talking
of bullets and 4 rifles to shoot the goats that were, you know, overtaking the land there. And they used to wear the barrels out on those guns, dude.
And then they'd send them up another
They'd send them another pallet
and more
of
guns.
bullets and guns, and they'd wear the barrels out shooting feral goats. So they had sheep, it was a sheep station, and they had all these feral goats coming in. When the market went up, like this is the thing, everything needs its value. When the market went up for goats, they stopped shooting goats, they sold off their sheep, so we didn't have sheep and goats anymore. They got rid of their sheep and they had goats. And they started letting these, what were already out of control, goats just thrive on their farm, but sending them off in truckloads for human consumption meat. Shiploads,
live export. Yeah.
And I thought you said shitloads, but shiploads. And now instead of having 2 things damaging to the environment, sheep, same as a goat virtually, and goats, now they just had goats, and that makes a massive big difference. And now what I've been trying to push for a long time now is these deer, depends what state they are, feral or game deer, whatever status you want to give them, they're already running around out in the wild. They're already out there in the wild. We're not turning back the clock. We're not turning back the clock. They're already running around there wild. But we've also got sheep and beef in the paddocks beside the, say, forest where they roam. What I'm saying is we could have one less cow, and if more people went out and hunted deer, or more people shot deer for human consumption for the market, then it's a less impact on the environment, it's less impact on the land.
Well, I mean, an example of that is in America, they literally have, it's like a destruction compensation for farmers, where farmers may have a tract of land that travels up into elk habitat, for example. Elk don't know boundaries.
Sorry, we had a phone call and it interrupted the message, but we're back on track. And I love what you're about to say, because this is a part of the whole American system, and this is why it works. Hunting works so well.
Obviously those elk come at a cost to those farmers. They'll break a fence, they'll eat crops, they compete with their livestock. So because they have your license fees and everything like that in America, they then can go out and compensate those farmers. So then it's in the farmer's best interest to have elk. There's how much more better can you get it? You know, you can't beat that. So it's the same thing. You know, we've talked about those things in Africa and stuff like that, where the animals were a
when the
commodity.
lion had a value, the lion had a value, the farmer would put up with that lion, taking stock every now and then, coming through his area. They seen lions as a valuable, they seen them as an asset.
Commodity.
Yeah. And then when they got taken away from them, what happened? The next minute you're reading how they culled 100 lions.
And the rest.
Out of Zimbabwe.
The rest.
And the rest. But just in that time,
they wiped them
out. They culled 100 lions out of there. So everything needs a value, and that's what I'm saying. What would control Australia's feral populations and game populations the best is when they have a value, you know, and deer are sort of getting there, you know, but there's a lot of farmers that are still...
No, there's a lot of deer hate...
A couple of our neighbours just shoot them and lay them out in the paddock and they end up staying there. I'm not saying they go to waste, everything under the sun eats them, but it's still not...
But that's their right as well.
No, that's their right, and I'm
that's
not
their right. But if
that.
someone come up and said, hey, I'm going to give you
Whatever.
$300 or $500 a deer if you let me come shoot, and be that farmer opens his gate, please mate, come in, have a crack. Saves me getting up in the middle of the night, spotlighting them and shooting the hell out of them.
And that's what we've started doing on a few of the properties as well, is actually, you know, like, even though we could probably get on there and hunt them for free, is, no, you know, every time I shoot a deer, I'll give you $500.
Yeah.
You know, like, whoop-de, and I'm not saying you have to do that, but I'm just saying, once these animals have a value like that, that's the best thing for them. You know, there's this weed called tiger pear, and it's that like a, you know what it is. It's a really, really aggressive cactus, and it's got all these little micro barbs on it, and if it sticks into you, like, you'll be pulling your flesh off like that, trying to get one barb out. But anyway, I've been spraying it and trying to keep it back because it's an invasive plant, and I was thinking when I was spraying it that if there was only a use for that plant, like if there was some sort of value in it, that's how you'd get rid of it. That's how you would get rid of it, and then it would only be grown in like a plantation
like
sort
aloe
of
vera
environment. Yeah, like
aloe vera is a cactus.
Yeah.
If it was just there on your land and it was taking up space, you'd probably chop it out, and then some people farm it.
Yeah.
Because it's got all these health values.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But having said that, like the one beauty about Australia, so you know we've gone away from. Well, we haven't gone away. I mean, there's all topics we're going to cover, but so we talked about your hunting opportunities in New South Wales and Victoria. And we'll talk about a little bit about animal distribution where they are as well. But the beauty of Australia is there's a lot of hunting that's very, very inexpensive and cheap. Yes, some places might want to capitalise on having deer, which is a balance where a farmer might wipe them out. But if there's value there, he'll say, all right, I'll keep them there. But a lot of places are very cool, let you come and hunt. Farmers are happy to have you there. You know, a lot of those farmers, they're working 16, 18 hour days. They're pretty tired. They've got to do some feral animal control themselves. So a lot of times they're quite inviting to allow people to come and hunt and things like that. Most important thing with farmers is always leave the place. You know, it's always a very strong value that we have, I know. We never leave any rubbish laying around. You leave a gate exactly as you found it, like I did last week when I had to open about 68,000 gates. Never sit in the front seat in Australia in the passenger seat because it means you're gate boy. And because I'm tall and got long legs, I always have to sit in the front, so I get hammered. But look, it's just a respect thing. They're allowing you to go on their land, so you must leave it the way you found it. You know, there's so many stories we hear about farmers. No, you're not coming on my land. Last idiots came here. They left glass everywhere. I never understood this one, but people shoot their water tanks.
Yeah,
that
so
one's
dumb.
always beyond me.
Or shoot signs or bloody.
It's drought-stricken Australia, and people are shooting water tanks. I've
Well,
never ever gotten.
And the other one is people shoot like pigs out on like a loosened crop. You know, and Gav was complaining about this the other week, that someone will shoot pigs on a loosened crop that has to be cut at a certain period, and there's a carcass sitting out there, and the hide gets wrapped up in the...
Well, he doesn't see it. Once the carcass has been eaten away and that, there'll be skin sitting within the crop as it's grown, and there's barley and there's wheat and all those sorts of things. Yeah, he comes out
and
with
it
his
gets
slasher.
caught up in the blades. That's just another job for a bloke that's already doing 16-hour days or more, you know.
Yeah, he has to stop and unwrap it.
Exactly, you know. And the other thing, so all these feral pigs are coming into where his cattle are, and the pigs are eating all the feed, and you know, you sort of say to yourself, why doesn't he just get in and trap them or just shoot a heap? But that's just another big job for a farmer that's already got a mile of work in front of him.
He was doing it, and he, like I said, he's doing 16, 18 hour days.
Yeah.
And he's choking.
You got to set the trap, you got to kill the pigs, you got to throw them in the back of the ute and drag them off somewhere and get rid of them or cut them up or whatever. It's
a
just
couple of hours out of your day, you don't.
Yeah, and he just doesn't have that.
Not productive.
He's already fighting for daylight, you know. So
but anyway. All right, so let's talk about where animals exist, because that can give people a bit of a guide of where they might start to target.
Well, the best advice straight away is the east coast of Australia, because
it's the best.
That's got, you know, all the deer species, the east coast of Australia. It's got most of our smaller species and some of our bigger species, but then, you know, and what's really appealing to a lot of international hunters is the buffalo. And the only place you can go for buffalo is the Northern Territory of Australia.
And a little bit in the northwest of Western Australia, but they're few and far between.
Not really.
No.
Not really.
They've sort of been shot out.
Yeah, I've heard that. They're just not there, and I don't think there's really any opportunities there.
Yeah.
Some of the stations up in the top end of Australia are a few million acres, you know, each station, you know. So like the Kimberley's only made up of bloody a handful of stations. The Kimberley's massive, but the stations are so giant. So there's not a lot of easy opportunities there, where the Northern Territory's got a bunch of outfitters on it. There's a bunch of hunters already up there that are established and have properties if you're looking at doing exchange or swap hunts.
If you're going to do an exchange hunt, do an exchange hunt.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people out, and there's only been a handful who've
Return the favour.
Yeah, or at least I don't always go, but at least they offer the favour.
Yeah.
So if, you know, if you're going to be fair income about it, so I mean, like, people on both ends of the deal need to do some research and some homework and make sure, like, if you're going to come out here, I'm going to look after you. It needs to be reciprocated, because then you can have a really good relationship and it's worthwhile. But what happens is some people will come out, take the opportunity, never give anything back, and then people start getting burnt, and then that shuts down that whole avenue of opportunity. So, I mean, it is a really good one to follow up on if you're really keen. But if you've got genuine opportunities for people, you've got a really, really good thing there where you can, you know, offer something in return for coming out and being hosted.
Yeah.
So buffalo. So Northern Territory. Let's talk about Northern Territory.
Northern Territory, your big game: buffalo, bangtang, scrub bulls, big boar. If you're into your fishing, the barramundis, fishing's the best.
Yeah, wild dogs, feral cats, donkeys, and they're basically right throughout the top half of the state of the territory. Sorry. And they go all the way down to the Gulf Carpentaria. Yeah. In the Gulf country.
And then in the Queensland.
There are some deer in Northern Territory.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mention.
But a lot of there is.
I wouldn't even mention it, dude. There's like 4 have been shot in the history.
Yeah. And there's high fence stuff there.
Yeah, exactly. And then like top end of Queensland's like all your really good pig hunting if you just chasing pigs.
So Cape York and the Gulf of Carpentaria, very, very famous for pig hunting. Like, it's basically pig mecca.
I've never actually even been.
Adam's never been. I've been a few times.
It's like the hunt that like every Australian does, and I've just never been. I just never had a really good opportunity to do it.
So there's scrub bulls, which is just wild cattle gone feral, and if you think these things are going to come with a bell on their neck,
you think they're domestic in any way.
These things are savage beasts. They are generational, bred, wild, no influence from humans whatsoever, and they're crazy. Yeah, I'm going to steal some of your mountain ops. Yep, don't get it in my eyes.
I'm out of coffee.
So Cape York has got, and now around Cape York, around the Gulf area, there's some rooster turning up, rooster deer opportunities, and then heading down south, so then right through central Queensland, you've got opportunities for pigs everywhere, a lot of goats. Then there's areas where there's a lot of really good pockets of chital deer, or axis deer.
Yeah, and
like
rooster.
I've had a chital deer hunt, and to this day, it was probably one of the craziest hunts I've ever had. Like, I'm talking, you get on with an outfitter in chital country, mate, you can get 10 to 15 stalks in a day. Like, it's tapped. It is craziness. I loved it. It's like, it's not even hard country to walk in, which I loved even more. So,
it's all pretty flat country.
You'd have this like a flat plateau, and you'd see for about 400 or 500 metres, you might see 60, 70 deer. Try and stalk them, spook them, which I'm awesome at. Go to the next little rise or go down a dip, and there'll be another paddock with another 100 of them. Have a crack, screw it up, doesn't matter. Walk to the next. Man, it's just all day you walk around and you'll see deer within a kilometre's vision. You'll see deer. Yeah. Spook them out. Go walk another direction. Spook them out. Yeah. I'm really good at spooking.
So Brad Smith's operations up in Queensland, right?
Yeah. So Brad Smith does have a chital property.
Yeah, and if you're looking for chital, and Brad's got some rooster.
Pigs. He takes people to Cape York.
They're the best rooster you'll ever see, free range. They're some of the best chital you'll ever see, free range. And
Some of the best pigs you'll ever see.
and he's one outfitter that you could recommend to anyone.
Yeah.
Like he's
Brad is awesome.
yeah.
Him-
So he's a really good bow hunter for starters. So you've got someone that understands bow hunting and what needs to go into a stalk and a setup to try and get one of these animals killed. So
And he also pioneered the next level of the filming in bow hunting in
Oh,
Australia.
100%.
Like he set a standard that sort of changed the whole landscape on how everybody getting out with a video camera. You know, inspired a lot of people to get into it.
yeah, so
Very
Brad
ethical guy, very, very astute. He's someone we can recommend without any.
Yeah, Brad and
Any
Jerry
qualms.
Redmond, and it's Bow Hunt Down Under, I believe. Bow Hunt Down Under Films. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But anyway,
Look up Jerry
Brad
Redmond on
Smith and Jerry
Instagram.
Redmond, yeah, insane.
Just
But,
type in his name.
And then you start dropping down a bit further in
Right.
Queensland, you've got a
Southeast Queensland.
massive population of red deer.
Yeah, so red deer were released. They were a gift from the royal family. They came from Scotland, and they were released in the Brisbane and Mary Valleys. So that's your basic big area. There is a lot of outfitters in that area. There's also the Ridge program, which you can join. The Ridge program is actually sort of a red deer management
Yeah, the Ridge Group.
where they
right?
have Ridge
You
Group.
looked up Ridge Group, yeah.
And there's opportunities there where they go out and they do coal hunts, and then they have a bit of a ballot system, and over time you eventually get to have some hunts on some prime red deer country, and that country is magic.
It's awesome.
Walking those hills,
It's all like this.
there's
It's
some
all
really
good
really good
colours.
outfitters
Yeah.
in that part of Queensland. There's Chill in and around, joint around there, some fallow creeping in and around. And then also,
Can I just
as you
say,
go west,
can you stop fidgeting? Because people are going to hear that.
I've got
that
big feet.
microphone.
And
You can't help
There's
yourself.
somewhere to go. I'll stop now.
No, just like
I'm
a
showing,
football photo. Put your hands on your knees.
I'm
and
showing
just
how
stay
coordinated I am.
really
My mouth
still.
moves and my feet can move at the same time.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen like that in the bush because I fall over usually. But anyway, so yeah, then right that southwestern corner of Queensland going into New South Wales. That's where there's the mecca of pig and goat hunting. Right throughout.
And there's everywhere we've spoken about. There's outfitters in.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of somewhere we've spoken about now where you need some secret frigging code to get through some forum to talk to someone to ask for a hunt. There's outfitters in all of these areas. There's not a lot of high fence in Australia, which is awesome to say. There's not a lot of high fence in Australia, and I'll just move off the subject slightly a little bit. There's a bunch of high fence in New Zealand when you're talking about red stags. Most of those, I'd nearly say all of those big stupid looking red stags that you see from New Zealand, they're all high fence. They're all
named Brian.
They're all fed and they've all got names and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then hunting season comes and they throw them out. So, but there's also a bunch of awesome red deer hunting in New Zealand that is free range, through outfitters or public land. New Zealand's got so much public land and so many hunting opportunities for do-it-yourself. It's friggin' insane.
Yeah. So in Queensland, like I said, they released red deer that came from Scotland strain. In New Zealand, they originally had the Scottish strain, and they, particularly in Fiordland, that was huge for red deer. And then they did heaps of culls, and it was a whole industry, the whole venison industry was established in New Zealand from hunting the deer that had gone wild after release for sport hunting sort of thing.
So the NZ ones are Scottish as well?
Yeah, and then obviously now, it's a big dollar spinner.
Yeah.
So now, they've got a lot of Hungarian strain put through them and big animals. And yeah, so moving on down the east coast. So then once you get in the New South Wales border, if you stick, so what we've got in Australia travels from Victoria all the way up to the tip of Cape York. It's called the Great Dividing Range. So the Great Dividing Range travels right down the east coast of New South Wales, and either side of that range and fingers that run off it and things like that, it's just an abundance of animals all the way down.
As soon as you say Great Dividing Range, I think of big red stags running around, fellow deers grunting, and just big boars, dude. Great Dividing Range, big boars.
And goats and
goats
foxes
and
and
friggin'
hares
everything else,
and rabbits and cats. So New South
And
Wales.
sambar deer through a lot of it now too.
So now the sambar deer. So So we'll get to sambar when we get down to Victoria.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
talk about them. As you travel down the coast, there's isolated pockets of rusa, there's isolated pockets of chital, but there is the mainstay is fallow basically, and there's pockets of red deer. A lot of the red deer in New South Wales have got some good strains in it, some Hungarian blood, so you'll find some of the heads, like particularly like this big fella up here that Adam shot, it's got a lot of Hungarian in it.
I can pull an antler off that one because he's got those antlers that just slide in and out because he was so big to be able to carry him around.
And then the south coast of New South Wales is where you get, well, this is Adam's, yeah.
It's awesome, eh? Look at those fingers, dude.
And that was
Love it.
a good deer. And
Big
a beast of a deer.
Good to hunt.
So then you've got on the south coast of New South Wales, you've got a traditional herd there, which was again deer that were bought here as a gift to our government, and they're the Roosa. So all the Javan Roosa in Australia, they've all basically been.
So all of our species were gifts, weren't they?
Yeah, all of our deer that came to Australia were gifts. Nothing walked here, nothing swam here,
yeah.
nothing did dog paddle or deer paddle. Everything was bought here. So the Roosa, the homeland of the Roosa was.
I'm thankful for those gifts.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best thing
If any royalty's still listening, I'm thankful.
Yeah, so Roosa on the south coast of New South Wales, but now they've spread right throughout. In Queensland, there's some pockets of massive Roosa. And again, if you look on the net, you'll find some outfitters that can, like, world record sort of stuff, like 38, 40-inch long Roosa. There's something that I cut my teeth on. And you keep going right down through southern New South Wales, and the deer herds are in pockets. They're not continuous all the way through, but generally they'll pop up.
Yeah, so there's a couple of pockets of Chiddle or Axis. There's a few pockets of Roosa throughout New South Wales. There's fallow deer
A lot of places.
area. That's the majority of New South Wales is fallow deer.
Yep.
And there's a fair few different herds of red deer now as well.
The thing with reds have got a huge range. Fallow not so big. Fallow tend to mob up a bit more.
Yeah.
Roosa tend to mob up a bit more. Chiddle mob up a lot. Reds do mob up a bit, but reds are pretty free ranging. Like they'll cover 20, 30 k's in a heartbeat. It's nothing for them to walk over two mountains.
It seems like Samba spread really well because they like their own ridge, right?
Samba are the most probably elusive deer in the way they spend their time. So Samba will live
in the country
they live in. So Samba were released in Victoria in the Alpine region, and they sort of can live in a what we pretty shitty country in terms of feed and stuff. Obviously they thrive when there's fringe country.
They're real browsers though, right? Like they'll pick a leaf off a tree, they'll walk over to a shrub, pick that, eat a little bit of grass, walk along. And
Samba don't herd up as much as all the other deer.
I'll tell you a little story about Samba quickly because I remember John Bates was hunting them pretty hard. John Bates is a bowener from Canberra, been bowening since I have as well, a long time. And he told me about a Roosa stag. He swore he'd seen this stag and it was behind a bit of a shrub and it sort of ducked its head down and he lost sight of it. He thought, did it see him or did it smell him or what? And he was walking over there thinking it laid down right there, and he was walking over there and he told me that he'd seen this Samba stag, big stag, and it had its head back with its antlers running down its body and its neck down low, and it was on its elbows, dude. It was on its elbows, and it was full sneaking away down low, like they're natural predators, tigers. Like obviously they're switched on, and I was hunting them on the Victoria New South Wales border there at John and Sky's place, and I seen the big stag, and he noticed me, and he put his head down. He did exactly the same thing. He got as low to the ground as he could, like on these elbows here or whatever you want to call them. And he got down low and his back legs were kicked right back and he crawled straight out of there, dude, like full slide.
I've seen Roosa do it, like Roosa sitting there bedded, just chewing its cud, and I was glassing, just watching these stags and watching what they were doing. And then these kids were just with their mountain bikes and they were just pushing their mountain bikes up this hill, and this Roosa would have been 4 or 5 metres off the edge of this track and the grass would have been 2 foot high. And when those kids would come, it was like the Roosa didn't want to give itself up. So it did. It just laid down, put its head chin flat in the ground, antlers back. Kids walked past. Once they got about 20 metres past it, and then stood up, turned around, and just walked really slowly back away. So They can be very cunning.
They're sly.
They're
as
awesome to
anything.
hunt.
They're awesome. To
Yeah,
hunt.
so then you go right down through southern New South Wales. So the western part of New South Wales is just pigs, goats everywhere, right through the whole band.
Yeah.
And there are scattered pockets of deer, but on the east, like around the Great Dividing
I
Range.
read up on a thing on pigs the other day. There is more pigs in Australia than the population triple or something like that.
There would be. No two ways
Like
about it.
insane. And there was another statistic on foxes there that the number of foxes compared to what you see is just insane, like mind blowing compared to the number of people.
I used to work in
Australia.
the steelworks in Port Kembla, and I did some shift work and stuff like that. Man, the amount of times I'd be going around at night and there'd be foxes
sneaking around.
purely in a steelworks.
Residential, yeah.
Oh, with steelworks, man,
Yeah.
full industrial. There's
Yeah.
nothing going on there.
Yeah.
So then we get to Victoria. So you got deer right down through. Then Victoria, that's the mainstay of Samba. The Victorians are very proud of their Samba hunting.
Awesome hunting opportunities
is
there, like we mentioned.
Yeah, their
before.
hunting industry in Victoria is basically built on the back of Samba. Just an important quick one, in New South Wales, there is a season on fallow and red deer, and it is from March the 1st to October the 31st.
Yeah.
There are some areas where the numbers have exploded and they've got an open season now where they don't enforce the season as such, where they're just allowing hunting opportunities right throughout the year to try and get the numbers
And
down.
that basically is from this year through to 2020, I believe.
2020.
Yeah, so 9 exclusion zones where there's no season,
Yeah.
no limits, no anything.
And look, and if you have a look at those exclusion zones, that'll give you an idea of where to target some public land hunting
Yeah.
and where to find some people who might take you on private land. And don't forget that you can always go door knocking. That's always a big one. A lot of those places in rural Queensland, Western New South Wales and Western Queensland, a lot of those farmers are pretty accommodating. They're pretty nice people. They're only going to tell you no. And, they don't get to see people that
No,
often,
that's
but
right.
there's always going to be
There's
the
other
chance you go and
areas
knock on the door and they said,
yeah.
yeah, mate, go for it.
But then there's other areas where if someone said yes in that area, it'd be like winning the lottery.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
really would. And it's just because those areas are well known for hunting, like where our property's situated. And it's just been hounded by hunters and stuff like
And
that
bad
over
things
the
have
years.
happened.
No,
and,
that's right.
people have done the wrong thing.
And it's unfortunate to even say, but there's a real, I don't even know what the word is, but there's a real, where hunters have got a bad mouth other hunters to make sure no one ever gets permission there again, which has happened really bad.
I've had it happen to me where we've gone and met property owners, done the right thing, done everything right by them. Somebody happens to know someone.
They get jealous that you're hunting maybe their property,
and
or
then they'll
something
go and
they can hunt.
badmouth you to that farmer.
Yeah.
And the next one they find, oh no, you're not allowed to come here. I'm like, well, what did I do wrong? And then 3 months later, you find out that person literally did something and burnt that farmer so bad, and then no one's allowed to go there.
Yeah, they just tarnish.
Or they just get fed up.
Brush.
Someone's painting a bad picture on this guy. And the farmer's in the middle of it. Listen to this guy talking about this guy. This guy's talking about that guy. This guy's trying to defend himself, and the farmer just says, "Piss off, everyone.
Yeah.
I don't want nothing to do with it. Ring up DPI. Can you please send out some professional hunters?" And then they go in there and they wipe the place out.
Yeah.
That's some of the things that have literally happened just purely because of craziness like that.
Yeah.
All right, so back on the hunting trail. So then you get to Victoria, Samba, there's red deer, there's fallow deer, there are pigs in some of the high country, there's some wild dogs.
A bunch of small game.
But there's hog deer.
Yeah. Now this is a special
This is
one.
hog deer.
He's a little bit
Yeah.
behind you. Yeah.
All right, so
This
then,
is a special one. There's a whole
So-
different set of rules for this
Yeah.
guy.
so hog deer are native from India, and only place in the world where you're legally allowed to hunt them on free range is on the eastern coast of Victoria, southeastern coast. I guess it's all southern. Now they have only.
I think there might be somewhere else in the world now.
All right, good luck to them. But let's talk about our options.
Yeah, I think there's somewhere
Alright.
else in the world, and Jim Shockey got in there and got it done. On a
Okay,
nice hog
good.
deer.
Well, that's good to know.
But,
because
yeah,
they're
yeah,
very
but-
rare deer
Yeah,
in a native habitat, and they're very little. So there used to be only a 1 month season. I think they've opened up to 2 months now. There's a ballot system. So if you look up Victorian hog deer ballot, you can actually enter that ballot. Anyone from anywhere in the world can enter it. I think it costs $15 or $25
Yeah,
to
it's
enter it.
real reasonable.
That money goes into the habitat conservation, they put in drinking water for them. They live in very like coastal areas on
Real
sand dunes and
brackish,
stuff.
salty water.
So, you know, they thrive in it, but they also lack in some nutrients and stuff, so I guess they're helping them out. So basically there's been a value now added
I
to the
just
Hog Deer.
realised this couch is really uncomfortable.
It's not where I am because I've got some back.
Oh dear, I've got nothing.
Well, you're leaning on the bear, that's why.
Good.
Yeah, so basically the Victorian government has definitely recognised value in hog deer in Victoria. They've now, you know, they allow them to run a ballot and all those sorts of things. And there's, you know, a very committed group of people down there that are into the hog deer.
It's a tough hunt. I don't want to lead anyone astray and think go into the ballot and I'm going to go and shoot a hog deer.
No.
It's possibly one of the toughest hunts in Australia on terms of seeing a mature animal and getting one killed.
Yeah.
Like hunting opportunities.
However, you're not going to shoot them anywhere else.
Exactly.
around,
No,
so
it's worth going in.
yeah,
for sure.
it's
Like,
have a crack.
It's an awesome thing. They're awesome. You think, it's just a tiny little deer. They are incredible. They are absolutely incredible. If there was more hunting opportunities for me, I would do it a lot more often.
And there is one outfitter down there.
I think there's a couple now.
All right.
Ben Chambers is going with a different guy this year.
Yeah. So there is a couple of opportunities there if you want to shoot a hog deer.
Yeah.
Very rare opportunity. Not a lot of people get to shoot a hog deer.
A big hog deer. What would you say a big hog deer is? 13 to 14 inches?
Yeah.
And they get to 15, 16, and just that
Some
absolute
18 or
monster
19.
would be
20.
17 or 18.
There's been a couple shot around that 20
Yeah,
too,
right.
but
Like, they are
very
just
rare.
giants. They are just giants. And I think I ended up spending 10 days. No, I didn't. I spent 7 days all up between two different trips, a couple of years apart.
Yeah.
And
Didn't get one the first year. And got
no, I
one the
didn't.
second
And
year.
I ended up shooting a 14 incher, which I was absolutely stoked for.
And a massive shark.
Spot and stalk, and that was
That's
cool,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
But they are an amazing animal to hunt, and so there is a tag for them. Whether you're on private land or if you're going on public land, there's a tag that you need to have to be able to hunt hog deer, and there's that short little season, it's a real special thing when considering New South Wales only brought in deer into a game category. You know, only a few years ago, Antonio, and hog deer have had that game status for a long time with the tag
They have.
system.
They have. Same as Sambo, so in Queensland they declared deer, I think, a class 2 feral pest. So then there was a lot of people up in arms when that happened because that meant open slaver. In New South Wales, it's one of those things that, you know, there's always a push by people to declassify them as a game species. But again, you know, for those reasons we talked about before, that's the sort of things that we as hunters need to keep pushing, making sure that they maintain that game status. And the same thing in Victoria where, you know, a lot of times people want to declare Samba as a pest species, which means then, so that, you know, there are restrictions in Victoria where, you know, you're not allowed to spotlight deer, and in New South Wales, you're not allowed to spotlight them and things like that unless you're a property owner and where you're allowed to do whatever you like. So those sorts of things are important because we all know a deer in the headlights is dumb as anything, and you can seriously do some damage.
Well, then that's not hunting when it comes to
No,
that.
but I'm
That's
saying
just
there are people who really would love to wipe them out.
Yeah,
And because they've got that game status, not every Tom, Dick and Harry can just go out and bomb up on them.
yeah.
You know, there might be some properties, and there are some properties which really have a problem with the deer, and it's understandable and it's their right and it's their own responsibility to maintain their own land, and they do smash them. But then you'll have someone who backs onto a nice area and, no, I don't mind the deer, and then, you know, that's where a hunting opportunity can happen.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the whole thing. I just know that they're here to
I want to
stay.
hunt, that's how I feel.
Yeah, they're spread for everywhere. When they're in big numbers, I see damage that they do, but when they seem to be in just a nice number, manageable, you know, when they're managed correctly, I never really witness a lot of damage that deer do.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, in Australia, all our native species, this is one of the things that you always used to hear, we don't hear it so often, was that all our native species have got padded feet. So they've all got like a leather pad on their feet, and they say, like, you know,
No hooved animals.
Yeah, no hooved animals at all. Everything's got a soft foot in Australia, native. And then what they, you know, the argument was that, you know, cattle, sheep, and then goats, pigs, deer, have got hard hooves, and people would say, well, you know, our grasses, the way they've developed in our grasslands and stuff, were never intended to have these hard hooves on them. Having said that, the animals have been here for 150 years, 170 years and things like that. You know what? A lot of those grasslands are still there. You know, talk about forest destruction with deer, rubbing antlers. Well, you know, there are places around my home where I've got old photos, and you know, I've seen old photos where there was some main hills that are around there, completely stripped, farmed intensively.
Oh yeah.
And then those farms, through generational, you know, families not picking up the farming and realising that, hey, I can sell this for real estate.
Yeah.
Those hillsides are now more forest than,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, that's
would have
just-
seen before.
Well, that's the thing. That's just one.
and the deer have been there the whole time, so...
That's just one invasive species for another, right? Because when it was farmed, they had sheep on there. Sheep aren't native; they're who.
Well, I think they
then
had
when there was
dairies.
deer there,
They had dairy cattle maybe in the
okay.
Illawarra, yeah.
And then because there's an argument with buffalo as well, because 100% buffalo have changed the wetlands of the Northern Territory.
Yeah.
And for the worse, like they're all big swampy messes. There's no native fish living in them anymore, and there's a bunch of stuff that can't thrive. But there's another thing that the buffalo's done, because it's been there for that 100 and something years. That isn't there a frog now that if we shot all the buffalo out, that frog
thrives in the buffalo wallows.
yeah, it fries, because buffalo lay in the wallow, it lifts the water up.
Well,
and
I
it
actually,
stands.
I actually think that even they assist in the creation of some billabongs over time as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like during the
Because
wet.
of them big wallows that they do.
Yeah. So look, one of the things is like,
But that's either way, they're there to stay now. I didn't bring them here.
Yeah.
I didn't bring them here.
no,
You
every
know?
continent. This is the other thing that I say is every continent in the world, bar Australia and Antarctica. So every continent in the world, bar Australia and Antarctica, have got deer species. Like Africa have got all their antelope species. You know, there's no native deer in Africa, but they're all antelope. They're forest dwellers and all those sorts of things. They're all hooved animals. Every other continent's got them. Now Australia, by the way the world formed after ice ages when
That's
continents were joined,
So interesting.
just separated. You know, it just so happened that deer weren't walking that part of the world when they separated away. So there were deer all along the band of Indonesia and Papua New Guinea
So
and
no
through the
deer,
Torres Strait Islands.
No predators.
But they
either,
just
right?
didn't make it onto the Australian continent. But the Australian continent was extremely arid, which wasn't attractive when you got all these tropical forests. I guess as these ice ages started to melt away and your forests started to re-emerge and things like that, you know, because when there's an ice age, there's a massive drought because all the water's held in ice caps. So there's hardly no rain throughout the world. So, you know, you've got all these land masses. Europe's connected all the way through from the North Pole. You know, it's got connection down through Africa, all the way through Asia. North America's connected to the North Pole and it's connected all the way down through South America. And then you had this Australian isolated, or, you know, surrounded by water. So we just didn't get those species.
No hooved animals, no predators.
No, just every venomous snake, venomous spider, venomous jellyfish,
Yeah.
people eating crocodile,
Yeah.
and anything that wants to kill you without being a nice, pretty thing to look at.
Yeah. So Australia does have predators, but just no real land predators, because wedge-tailed eagles are a predator.
Yeah, they're
Like
a raptor.
wolves.
Yep.
Crocodiles are a predator.
Yep.
Like bungaras or goannas and
Yeah, they're a
monitor
predator.
lizards are predators.
Yep.
But
Numbats are a predator.
yeah. But just
quolls, but they're only little ground-dwelling
That's
animals.
right. We're not talking about these
No.
like a super predators, like a wolf or a
Lion,
coyote
bear.
or lion, bear, stuff like that.
Fox, cat.
And I think it's because we didn't have any of those species that Australia has got such a unique.
It's evolved the way it has
wildlife.
because they
Like think of a
survive the way they
kangaroo,
do.
2 legs. It jumps around on 2
No, it's
legs. It
crazy,
can
it's
stand on
crazy.
its back tail. It's got a toenail that's that long on the front of its foot.
They're crazy. They're crazy critters. Like, man, everything we've got's crazy. Echidnas,
Yeah.
platypus, wombats.
It is. It's so
Koalas,
we
it all-
see them all the time, so it doesn't like.
No.
But I imagine being one of the first explorers, dude, to come to Australia and seeing shit like that, like a kangaroo. Like what other animal have you ever seen that's like stands up like a human like that, dude?
Yeah, yeah.
Like the first
Buffed.
explorers must have been freaking, dude.
They would have been freaking. But I think the point what we're trying to say is that, you know, those. So deer are here now. They're here. You're not going to get rid of them. It's impossible to get rid of them.
And if they were
But
here when
our
the
forests-
continent's divided, then
Our forests are still thriving. It's not like all of a sudden a deer walks through our forest and all the trees fall over because they're not used to hard hooves.
yeah.
That
No,
argument.
it's a really good argument.
I think it's got no value whatsoever because things have thrived. You know, you see so much areas that have been farmed intensively, and then either been rehabilitated or just left to go back to their natural state. The animals were there before they were farming, they were there when they farmed it, they're there after they farmed it, and you just see it return to its natural state. I mean, I've seen photos again of the Royal National Park, south of Sydney, you know, and there are deer there, and it's been some huge numbers of deer in that particular park, and you're not allowed to hunt them. But that place has burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
Mate, you look from one end to the other,
Yeah.
and you know, that place, if you went back to the same point and looked at the same point, you'd see the bush that thick, you can't even walk through it, but you know what? Those deer are still there.
Yeah.
They've been there the whole time. That national park's burnt out probably 20 times in 100 years. The deer have been there for 140 or 150 of them. I just, you know, that sort of stuff, when they say they're competing with natives, they're wiping out the forest, it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen more wallabies on the Illawarra Escarpment than what I see now.
Yeah.
You know, they're just, before they used to hunt wallabies, they used to run dogs. They literally used to have hound crews. They would go out and hunt wallabies. So obviously the wallaby numbers went down. Why did they go down? Not because of deer. They went down because people were going out there with hound crews over a weekend. That was their thing to do. And they'd go out and hunt the wallabies and get meat and whatever they did with them. And now the hound crews are gone and wallaby numbers are bouncing back. Guess what?
Yeah.
Deer have been there the whole time.
At least there, yeah, for sure. There is some good study on wallabies in other areas being kicked out of their caves and homes by feral goats. You know, and obviously that's got to come at a cost when an animal's having to change its whole environment and habitat because feral goats are taking it over. So,
but I don't think a wallaby's going to go and neck itself and being kicked out of its home. It'll just go find that somewhere else to sit down.
Yeah, but if the goats are overpopulated, maybe it can't, and maybe that place to sit down is now out in the sun where it needs more water and feed and it can't get it and ends up dying. Things that me and you would never see.
No.
And I think some of Australian natives, that a lot of them are really thriving. Like the farm, look at all the wallabies that come up around the cabin, and kangaroos,
they're
and
loving it.
Frigging everything like that. But it's the things that we don't see every day, especially in the harsher parts of Australia, that are getting wiped out, and that it's already too late.
But remember, like you talked about goats, king wallabies there, but they need to be hunted. Like that's the whole point of what we're talking about. Yeah. We are hunting these animals. Yeah. They are getting shot professionally. Like there is control measures being in place.
Yeah.
But it has to happen. People can't just say, "Oh, Neanderthal hunter." No. Conservation hunter.
Yeah, no, it's beyond that. And it's not just because of that though. Like I always try and wrap this up with people as well. It's not just because they're invasive that I hunt them. It's not just because it's legal that I hunt them. It's just not because they're made out of meat that I hunt them. It's not just because I love hunting that I hunt them. It's not any one of those things, but it's all of those things.
It's all encompassing.
It's all of those things that makes it so good to get out there and hunt.
No, there's a lot of spin-off benefits in every single facet of what we do.
Yeah.
Everything. So, all right, continue on with... So Tasmania. Tasmania has a lot of fallow deer. I think they have some goats. So you're not allowed to bow hunt in Tasmania. There's laws that have been passed.
I pretty much just wipe Tasmania off.
Yeah, don't worry about going to Tasmania to hunt.
Because...
although if you want to hunt fallow with a gun, there's opportunities down there to do it, and there's some really good fallow hunting down there.
Beautiful country. I've never been, but the photos and video that I've seen is the countryside is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
The fallow deer numbers are really strong, but you cannot hunt free range down there with a bow and arrow, unfortunately.
I think you can hunt rabbits. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, then you get to...
South Australia's got a good bit of game.
South Australia's got some mountainous areas that have got a lot of goats.
So the Flinders Ranges, heaps of goats through them.
Yep. And then there's the southeast area where there's a lot of deer.
Yeah.
And a lot of good quality deer. There's a lot of big fallow there, a lot of big red deer, there's some rooster there. So South Australia's not too bad. South Australia's a very much a local knowledge place. You know, if you're in with people down there, you'll find your opportunities. And there are a couple of outfitters there now. Western Australia,
unfortunately, virtually has no outfitting that I'm aware of, except for maybe one or two goat places. But there's a little bit of deer hunting in Western Australia, but it's not worth mentioning. There's a bunch of goat hunting in Western Australia, but goats have a really good market value at the moment, so it's very hard to have permission to go and hunt goats there.
There are some stations that let you on and you pay for your goat that you shoot.
Yeah, like we know of one up west. I don't think I'd probably want to give that information out to the public, but there's a few up west.
that do that.
It's all
And then-
west.
Yeah, it's all west.
We'll give you a clue.
And then
It's Western
Western
Australia.
Australia is massive. It would have to be 40% of Australia's volume nearly
Pretty close.
inland,
Probably.
and the least amount of people that live
It's
in the whole
arid,
state.
it's dry. It's when you go. I
It's
always
beautiful
find it
though,
interesting
isn't
when
it?
I fly from, because I fly every 2 weeks, either there or I'm flying back, and I find it interesting that once I leave, sort of like the Adelaide Hills sort of area,
Yeah,
from there all the way across to where you touch the ground in Western Australia, it's sand.
sand.
There's
Yeah.
no black soil practically.
Yeah.
Although the southeast corner of Western Australia's got a lot of
Well,
heavy
that's big
rainfall.
rainforest.
They get
country.
massive rainfall down there.
Western Australia is so weird because then you just go a couple of hours up the coast and it goes into like a real, dry, arid area.
It's the desert, so
Yeah.
so
So
the
Western
desert
Australia
hits
is.
the coast.
Yeah, I would 100% put money. No, I can't say put money because it's just my opinion, but I 100% believe Western Australia is the most beautiful state in Australia because it's just so raw, especially up north, like Karajini National Park.
Oh,
Like
it's
how
crazy.
amazing is that?
It's magic.
The Pilbara Coast, like how ridiculous is the Pilbara Coast? Like red mountains that just run into like beautiful blue,
Coral.
clean, corally water.
Some of the best coral, Exmouth
Coral Bay.
region, Coral Bay,
Yeah.
and then in the Pilbara as well, around some of the islands, like people go Great Barrier Reef. These places have got 1/100th the visitors, and some of
Yeah,
the areas there are
amazing.
way better. Like it is amazing.
So many people say that.
And then then you've got the northwest part of Western Australia, and then you've got some pigs and some scrub bulls and stuff like that up there. Again,
So up in the Kimberleys, so at the top of Western Australia, heaps of scrub bulls. Once again, you need really firm permission and knowledge about where you're hunting there because some landowners muster the wild cattle and sell them off to the market. Some of them don't want anything to do with them because they just reckon they're breeding herd, they're good stock.
Yeah,
So
they want them sharp.
scrub bull hunting and
Pigs.
massive
Big
pigs
pigs.
up there too.
Big
Freaking
pigs.
awesome pigs.
I haven't gone yet, and I think they're waiting for me.
They're waiting for you. No, you're over your bloody
No, I shot
pig
some.
fears now.
I
You
shot
shot a
some.
couple with me and Lonnie the other
I
week.
did. I shot some. Oh, it was,
You did well.
I shot one from 8 meters, and it was good. It ran that way. It was good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Um,
So I think we've pretty much done Australia there.
it's
from
it's a
east to
tour of
west.
Australia, yeah.
The east coast is definitely the best coast, and
And it's the closest
yeah,
for us.
it's the closest. So Sydney's got an international airport.
Brisbane's got an international airport.
Yeah.
Melbourne's got an international airport.
Exactly. So you come straight in
You
here.
can fly
go
straight
from
in.
there. Here's the most opportunities. I would hope that in future years, like Western Australia and South Australia and Victoria and New South Wales and the Northern Territory and even Tasmania, all try and capitalise on, hunting as a resource and opportunities to bring. I get to go out to America and enjoy the US's backyard, and I would really like to hope and think that there's a lot of US residents coming out to Australia and enjoying what we could call our backyard.
Yep.
It's a beautiful thing just to get around and see the world, like experience and knowledge.
Well, I mean, look, it's right now in Australia. It's very, very affordable to hunt. You sort of don't want that to change too much. At the same token, it's very, very affordable to go in America because of their public land system and their tag system
Yeah,
and
and
all that sort of thing.
we should talk about that now too because there's I get a few Australians asking me and guys from New Zealand and other places in the world about how do I go about hunting in the US as a non-resident, and I also get US citizens asking me how to go about it, and the American system is the absolute best that I'm aware of for being able to be a resident or a non-resident.
Yep.
And have hunting opportunities. That's what I was going to say. It's a beautiful thing that Australia is moving towards public land where anyone could hunt, because it should be everyone's right
Our land.
to be. That's exactly right.
We pay
should be-
taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah.
That is why it's public land. We are the public paying for
And
that
everyone should have the opportunity to go out hiking and hunting and
Yep.
things like that. Like it's part of being a human.
Yeah. No, there is
If
some
you
of
ask
those
me, it's
models in
part of
America
being a
that
human.
would translate beautifully to here.
Yeah. And it's like, how can all the land be taken away from us? So imagine tomorrow Australia goes, okay, you can't go on any land. As
Well,
simple as that.
you know,
Imagine
that's basically
taking
what
that away
happened to
from
Bowhunters,
people, and that has happened, you know. And then it's like, what mental health issues come out of not being able to go and do what you enjoy?
A lot of people's
want
therapy
and
is
desire.
literally being in the bush,
That's my therapy.
and
dude.
they can take their children.
Yeah,
There's all the nurturing that goes with that, all the generational passing down benefits of that sort of thing, where it's father teaches son how to hunt, son hunts, son teaches
it's
his
so
son how to hunt.
beneficial to be able to
It
go
just
out.
becomes a generational thing.
Let's take hunting out of it completely. Let's not even talk about hunting. Let's not even talk about the animals. Let's just talk about how beneficial it is to be able to go out into the wilderness. Dude, we're a part of the wilderness. We're a part of this world. The world is wilderness. The world is not sitting in a big concrete building or a house or looking at the TV. That's not the real world.
No.
The world is
Plenty of people were
wilderness,
born
dude.
before cities were built.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it comes down to. And everybody was in the wilderness not so long ago.
So to be able to go out to the wilderness, then let's capitalise on it. You can go and hunt an animal, dude. You can pit your skills against a wild animal. You can eat wild meat. You can eat meat. Why are we even calling it wild meat? It just should be meat normally.
Because it's not farm, that's the difference.
Yeah, I know it's
There's
not.
farm
but it
meat
should be
and
the
there's
normal.
wild meat. It's
You know.
what's called game meat.
Yeah.
Are you game enough to eat it? No.
But you know, just the benefits, and everyone should have use of land somewhere. So, but anyway, so going back into the American system, and you've been with me as well, but I will just really target the do-it-yourself sort of hunt for starters. Now, the best thing you can do is find education. In my case, a Bowhunter education course online, which was from the state of Idaho. I did a Bowhunters education course. You did not have to sit a field course, so I didn't actually have to go to the US and sit a field course. I could do it all online. And that might have changed now, because I do remember an email from Idaho Fish and Game saying that some rules had changed, but at the time I could just do the course online. I passed that course. I applied for Idaho. I bought tags in Idaho. As simple as that, on the computer, my computer at home in Australia.
Yep.
I did that and it was done. And then I was then good to go with an over-the-counter tag into some units in Idaho. It was as simple as that. How did I research those units? I didn't. I just looked at what I thought was decent land on a computer, and I went in there and went hunting.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of data online.
Oh, you could spend a whole year reading up.
Well, when Adam was on his hunt last year, you know, sometimes of a night we'd...
No, that's right.
Yeah.
I got you to do some research.
Yeah, I was doing some research online because, you know, Adam would be in an area and it'd be like, Adam, he'd be saying to me, man, I'm not finding much. So I'd do some research. Yeah, you're probably not going to find much. Maybe walk over this ridge, and you'll end up in this unit, which you're allowed to go into on the over-counter tag.
Yeah, on the
and then
general
that
tag,
valley
yeah.
looks good. And mate, I was a part, you know, I loved it. It was.
I think your research.
There's a lot of resources there.
Yeah.
If you put the time in, there's a lot of resources.
Talk to some local people if you know them, like if you're a part of a community forum or something. But I've got to say on top of that, you can't be rude about it. You cannot be rude about it. No one wants to tell you exactly where they hunt, so don't ask.
You're not owed anything.
Even if I was happy to tell you the unit that I was hunting in, by telling you that, I could be giving away someone's secret spot or their mecca or something they
Well, they've worked
just
hard
not
to
the
learn
right thing to
the
do.
ins and outs of it.
It's not the right thing to do. So do your own research. You should be working for these hunts anyway. You should be working to get an animal, you know. So do your own research. Take a bit of a gamble. Like, that's all good. It just, all that means is that the unit that you can tick off the list, no, I'm not hunting that one. It wasn't very good. You know, I'm not going to hunt that one again, whatever it might be. But
remember, every state in America has got really good information systems on units.
on it. Yeah.
And it's good, the way it's kept and stuff like that. I mean, you
So
definitely can find your place.
Yeah, so do your hunter education. If you do it in Idaho, like I said, online, then you can apply for other states
That's if it hasn't changed.
using that hunter education. Well, the only thing that would have changed is you might have to sit a...
And if you do, you do
Field
it
day
once,
now. No,
you're
it's
done.
done, it's done,
You do
yeah.
it once and you're done. Like I went to Montana I did it. I got Montana
Yeah.
license when we went to Montana, and now I can go to every state because
Yeah, exactly. So when I go to Montana, it's just a general tag. It's an over-the-counter tag, general. When I go to Colorado, it's just an over-the-counter general. You know, just
Idaho's over the counter general.
Oh, there's a bunch of them. There's only like Wyoming's no over-the-counter,
But what-
I believe.
Yeah, but what you have to, Wyoming, you have to draw a
But
point.
you just apply. So I've just applied for Wyoming. I didn't get it this year. I'll accumulate a point, and in the unit that I'm in or trying to get, I'm told that within 3 years of applying, I've got a 100% chance of drawing.
Yeah. So when he talks about points, so they have a tag system in America. You put in, you pay a fee. If to be drawn, they have a ballot, a monopoly sort of thing. Not a monopoly, it is a ballot, it's a draw. And if your name gets drawn out, you get to go. If you don't get in, you get given a point. Each year, you accumulate points. The more points you have, obviously, the more chances you got of being drawn. So it doesn't cost much to get a point. So if you know some areas, so even though Adam's buying over-the-counter tags and I bought my over-the-counter tag, doesn't mean you can go into every unit.
No,
Because
that's
there are a
right,
lot of
yeah.
units that are just, and this is where you got to do your homework and read state regs and stuff like that, and the websites are really beautifully laid out and really easy to find. There are units that are draw only.
Yeah.
If you're found in those units, you're in big trouble. You're going to get big fines. You're going to be kicked out. You're going to be
Yeah. And there's other things that come into play. Some states you can't have game cameras when the season starts.
no electronic
Some of them you
aid.
can. Some of them you can't have Illuminox. Some of them you can't have a light on your site. There's a bunch of different rules, but what happens when you're going in to apply for whatever state it is, you will read up on those rules and you
Yeah.
should know them well, and you'll know what you can and can't take in there. They're all fair. Like there's no silly ones like, you know, you can only carry 3 arrows on this hunt or something like that. They're all legitimate rules and for a reason. So if you're a non-resident or a resident, you just need to do what I say. Just
Abide by the rules and regs,
yeah,
and they're all there for you to read.
yeah, and sweet. And look, you might burn a trip or two not in the right spots, but you'll end up finding that's just all part of time and effort. You know, you'll end up finding where the elk are.
Well, the beauty of it is you can change within that one hunt. You might say, I'm going to target unit 6,026,026.
Well,
and nothing happens there.
Well, that depends. Not all states.
No, not all states, but
Yeah.
there are units in that same state where it'll be, oh, that's an over-the-counter unit. I'm going to go, I'm leaving this one. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
I'm going to drive 2 counties over.
Yeah.
I'm going to go up into that unit and have a crack there. Like
Yeah,
you can do those sorts of things. But again, you have to know, if you're going to go do these trips, like they're big trips, they're big undertakings, and they're trips of a lifetime. So no hunter in their right mind is not going to do the research. So that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Just looking into it and stuff like that. So you can say, I'm going to target maybe 3 units on this trip.
One thing I would say as well with hunting opportunities in the US is if you're only planning on doing it once, you know, because I'll go elk hunting every year until I can't walk anymore, and then I'll probably try and do it in a wheelchair or something like that. But I'm constantly going to go, so I don't mind if I burn a year, you know, or a couple of weeks out of the 4 weeks that I've got to hunt there in units that I don't know anything about or that are shit, because I'm going to keep going. But if you're only going to do it once, then one thing to take into consideration is maybe you're better off doing it with an outfitter.
Absolutely.
If you're only going to do it once, why not go somewhere where you know you're going to see some elk, you know, you're already going into some good country, you can do some research on the outfitter and going with them. It comes at an extra cost.
Highly recommended,
but that's what it is. Or if you're only going to go once, just keep putting in for points until you get enough points where you know you're guaranteed the draw, then put in for it for that year. But the problem is you might burn 5 or 6 years
of not going.
But
that could be a plan for people too.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
I'm 25, by the time I'm 30, I want to hunt elk. I'm going to pick a really good area that I know has got hard drawing odds, and I'm going to buy a point every year. And now I've been saving for it and financially ready. I'm going to do this hunt. I'm 30 years old now. Bang. And you go
once in a lifetime.
Yeah, and you're going to do it. So with outfitters, some outfitters there's some outfitters that let you come with your own tag, like where I went, bought an over-the-counter tag, got to hunt an outfitter's area.
Yeah.
And, you know, both Adam and I and Jordan Shipley was with us, we all shot an elk each, which is a massive week. And But then there's some outfitters that you pay a bit more that come with their own tags,
Like a
landowner tag.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty premium outfitters, charge a bit more, but very, very good opportunities at getting on the game.
Yeah, yeah.
But with the ones where you come with your own tag, on a lot of those outfitters, they're just ones where, again, we talked about research on the state wildlife websites. You also do your own online investigations into the outfitters, and there's plenty of people who give feedback and all those sorts of things. And you can pretty well find a good place that's going to have a lot of opportunities, just talking to them, talking to people who've been there and all those sorts of things. And the hunting community, the way it is, generally when you're going with outfitters, generally people aren't too afraid to share information.
No, that's
public
right.
land stuff, bit close to the chest,
It's
because
just like
a lot of
good
hard work goes into
and
it.
it's like a good fishing spot. Like, say you've got a good fishing hole, then you tell someone, they tell their mate tells his best mate tells his father-in-law tells his brother, and then there's a dozen people right in your spot.
And the next time you go there, there's no elkfish left.
No, no elkfish.
Yeah, it's the same thing with hunting. It's exactly the same. You respect your hard work. There's someone you really trust. Sure, one of your best mates, tell them, but otherwise, that's hard-earned information.
No, that's
sort of
right.
stuff
Loose
to keep.
lips sink ships, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is pretty bad in the bow hunting industry. Guys are so keen to get onto some game and good numbers that they'll fish your spot out and go in there and bomb up on it.
Backdooring.
What's that?
A backdooring.
Oh, backdooring.
It's not a pleasant trait.
No, it's not at all. So.
And even asking.
Yeah.
As if no worries, man.
Yeah, no, it's just not the done thing. I realise that a lot of people just don't realise it, because I get that question a lot, like where do you shoot your elk and stuff like that, and so...
Under that bush?
Like I said, I've got to consider other people that, probably worship that spot as well, and I don't want to, give their spot away, even if I was never going to hunt there again. It's just not the right thing to do.
I've gone hunting with plenty of people, they're great spots, and, even if I don't talk to that person anymore, whatever, I still would never go back to their spot. That's their spot. You don't invite yourself there ever. That's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good the place is. You got to have a bit of pride about yourself and have a bit of morals and ethics within the industry, and don't go back to people's places.
Yeah.
Particularly when they point out, I don't want you coming back here.
Yeah.
Respect it.
No, exactly. So with those hunt opportunities, and probably going into the hunt a little bit more on how they're going to do it, because I think it just seems like it's such a big job and so much effort. There's actually little effort that really goes into it, especially when you're enjoying it. Like, you enjoy prepping for those trips.
It's the best things you ever do.
So yeah, you try and draw a tag. If you don't draw a limited entry, then you just get an over the counter somewhere. If you just want to hunt it for the year, you get an over the counter somewhere, maybe in the same state in one of the general units, and it's as simple as that. You just start planning your trip. I book my flights in advance, so they're at a better cost. If a sponsor's not looking after me for my flights, I just book it myself, book it in advance. Because I just did the solo backcountry thing, usually I'd hire a vehicle when I got into the closest airport to the unit that I'm hunting, and I'd drive out. There's always a trailhead going into that general land. I'd park at the trailhead and off I'd go. The expensive bit is actually the vehicle hire, hiring a vehicle and leaving it there for, sometimes I go away for 30 days or whatever at a time. You'd be better off trying to make a relationship with one of the hunters in that area, or talk to one of the hunters and say, look, if I give you a couple of $100, can you drop me off at this destination and pick me up such and such later? Or would you like to do the hunt with me? Who else has a general tag for that area?
No, it's definitely people who want to help out.
No, there is.
I'll tell you another... There's
so many hunters in the US. I'm hard to press. I haven't found a hunter that I don't like in the US yet.
No.
Because
they're all people who are out there doing what you're doing, so they're all people who have got that sense of adventure in them,
Yeah.
So another big thing that you save money on is, if you do happen to shoot something, is getting your game back. So if you shoot an elk, be prepared to cut that skull cap in half, put some tape around it, put some gauze over it, hose over its antler tips or something, strap it to your pack and bring it home with you there and then.
Yeah, so make sure you clean it, make sure you're fully cleaned cleaned it. Otherwise, it get pulled up in customs. Make
Boil
sure
it.
you fully clean it out, boil it, cut the skull straight in half down the middle. You can dow it back together.
Or if
later.
you're just going to cap it, just cap it because it's very easy to clean.
Yeah.
Then the other one is take your green cape to a local taxidermist. Again, this is all part of your research leading into your trip. You can make contact before your trip. The taxidermist could even be the person who drops you off in the mountain and picks you up because you might build up a relationship with them, but have a chat to them. I plan on shooting an elk. I'm going to cape it. I want to bring you the cape, and then I'm going to buy a cape that's already been processed by you. It's already been tanned and all those sorts of things. You give him that cape, pay him some money on top, get a clean cape, bring that back with you, because I can tell you right now,
You will save a
you
fortune
get
on
your
that.
cape and your antlers shipped over here,
Yeah.
it can cost you about $3,000.
The only thing that
Cost you about $3,000
Yeah.
and take about a year and a half
Yeah.
to 2 years. It's ridiculous.
because I must be too particular, but I can't use someone else's cape on one of my antlers
Yeah.
because it's like this
Precious.
sucks. Yeah,
Precious.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. But I just want it to
No,
perfectly
it's got to represent that animal.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
that.
And now look, you might get a cape of a taxidermist, and you probably can't tell any freaking difference anyway. But it's just the
Well, then the
principle
other thing you can do
behind
then
it.
is drop the cape off, and when you go back next year,
That's
you pick
the
your
way.
cape up and fly back with
Perfect.
it.
It's
Yeah.
an excuse to go hunting.
Yeah, that's it.
Shit.
I've got to fly to America because I've got to pick my cape up.
Yeah.
And while I'm there, I'm
Might
accidentally
as
just
well
going
go
to
for a
trip.
hunt
An
as
arrow's
well.
going to go for there. I'm going to shoot another one. Then I have to go back and pick that cape up
Yeah.
next year again, and on goes the cycle.
Well, it's true, and any excuse will do, I suppose.
Yeah, but
But
look, man,
that is a
definitely
massive
bring your
saver.
antlers back
Yeah.
with you. Cut them in half and bring
Yeah.
them back with you, because when they send them over, they ain't going to cut them in half. They're going to put them in the biggest box they can find and charge you the biggest
Yeah,
postage.
exactly. Yeah.
It stings.
And then and the other sort of research that needs to go into it too is if you are solo, you know, and you're not physical enough to say carry a bull out of the backcountry by yourself, is, you know, have the number for someone with a string of horses already, you know, that because that's a whole industry in the
No, it's
US.
And that's
Yeah.
4 or 5 days of your trip.
Yeah.
If you're going to carry it out, literally you have to allow another 4 or 5 days. And I know Adam pushed his trip that close to the wind last time. I think you turned up in Idaho at something like 2 o'clock in the morning and had to leave by 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the airport
Yeah.
to fly home. Hence, Adam shot an elk, was prepared to blow his flight off, because I remember we were talking about him changing your flight.
I was
Had
worried
carried it.
because I had a wedding to do with Kim,
Yeah.
and I knew she wasn't going to be happy about
Had
that.
basically gone through the process of carrying it because he didn't even know about a horse wrangler. I remember you were peeking, and in the end, that was pure luck that he ran into that really
Drew.
cool dude.
Yeah, I ran in the Drew on
And
the
everyone
ridge.
said it looked like Hugh Jackman, but I don't think he looks like Hugh Jackman. He's like a pretty cool
He'd
dude.
probably like that.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, obviously. And you know, then the horses came along, and that's the only reason you made it on
Yeah.
time to get your flight. So if I know for a fact you'll be doing. You'll probably call him if you're cutting it close to the wind again, no matter what.
Oh,
I know what you're like.
definitely.
You'll probably, if you had 4 or 5 days up your sleeve, you'd be carrying.
Yeah.
So it is, man. It's about a 4 or 5 day carry out if you're going to be carrying an elk. I'm not that excited by it if I ever have to do it myself.
No, it's good. It's just effort.
It is something you got to
Reward
do.
to follow.
Yeah, my office fitness is awesome at the moment, so something I look forward to.
Yeah. And so, like the difference in the model in hunting in the US, because they are hunting their natives, and I spoke about it before, how, you know, but all this conservation's done is like raise the numbers, you know, of
Massive.
their native animals, which is awesome. Like there's a massive benefit there, but the money that it generates, dude, is mind-boggling.
$87 billion a year.
$87 billion a year through hunting.
Yep. And then, so, you know, President Roosevelt, he was early 1900s. He's the one who, he was a passionate hunter. He's the one that actually opened up the whole hunting model in America. Public land, you know, opened up a heap of public land access and everything like that. He's legendary for hunting. So some of the things that happened, you know, some of the numbers. So you know, people say, oh, too many elk are getting shot. Well, elk, there was 41,000 elk left in 1907 or something like that. So they then opened the hunting model, which exists to this day, and obviously it's been refined. Today there's 1 million elk Whitetail at the same time. There were 550,000 whitetail running around in America. So remember that we didn't live in cities, we didn't have processed meat as much. A lot of people, that was their sustenance. They were shooting game because they had to shoot. They were pioneering new areas and stuff like that. So they were shooting the hell out of game to feed themselves. And then towns started to grow big, so then they had, farm hunters basically who went out and just bombed up and to feed masses. So the game animal numbers just plummeted. So whitetail, it was 550,000 whitetail. So then they brought in these hunting regulations. Right now there's 32 million whitetail in America.
That's insane.
And the whole time they've been hunted. There's some states in America in 1 year, which are just little states that have got whitetail in them, are like, their hunting industry is worth $4 and $5 billion a year just in a little state. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
There's states where because people travel in the state to hunt, there's literally more hunters buy a hunting license each year than there is population in that state. Like,
look
it's
at the
crazy.
value, look at the great value, and I don't mean just the dollar figure, in recreational hunting compared to what would have been market hunting back in the day.
No,
where animals thrive, there's still massive income, there's still massive revenue.
People out hunting,
generated.
not wiping out species, they're actually propagating species, because what happens then is there's 690,000 jobs generated.
That's awesome.
In that industry, and they are wildlife service officers, biologists. So what happens is a biologist will go into an area. This is Unit 28 in Frankenland. Won't even name a state or name a number, just so it doesn't make anyone think that we're onto something. But here's a unit. That biologist's job is to go out there and count how many elk are in that unit, how many moose are in that unit, how many mountain goats, how many cougars, how many whitetail, how many mule deer, and then basically do a scientific study. It'll be the health of the population. They'll take samples for disease. They'll take how much habitat they have, and then how many numbers can survive in that habitat. And then if there is 5,000 elk and there should only be 4,200 elk that can be sustained within that unit, then they'll say, well, here's 800 tags for hunters. Hunters will then go and buy each tag. For a resident, it might only be $50 or $90 a tag. For a non-resident, it might be $850 to $1,000 a tag. So then that's 800 of those licenses alone being bought, and then there's all these other little ones you've got to buy around it. That's a massive amount of money just spent right there. Then the person's going to travel into that state with a car, buying fuel, buying food, buying all the camping gear that goes with it, buying ammunition, buying bows, buying clothing, you name it. The local butchers cut the meat up, they get paid to do that. Someone might need a haircut while they're there, they'll go get a haircut while they're there. Who knows, So all those things is just generating dollars. Now that then goes back to pay those biologists to do these studies, which then keeps the animal populations healthy. Now, people say, let it go back to natural balance. Well, natural balance is long gone.
Yeah, what natural balance?
Human
What do you mean?
population, everyone says, humans.
Well, isn't that
who's going to be the
natural?
first to volunteer to kill himself because
Yeah,
I want to save the animals? That ain't going to happen.
Isn't that natural though? Even humans, the increase of humans.
No, animals increase, humans
that's still
increase.
natural. Whatever's happening is essentially natural.
Yeah. So then the balance needs to be maintained, and if the balance has been upset, which it has, the native lands have been built upon, they've been farmed upon, and all those sorts of things. Then you just can't say let it go back to the animals and stop hunting them, because what will happen is they'll eat an area out, they'll get disease, they'll wipe themselves out.
I'd actually put my hand up to go and live in a cave, but who else is going to do that? I'd do that. Wouldn't that be natural?
It would be natural.
Exactly.
So is living in a house, because guess what? People evolve to build their own house.
I can tell you the people that write me the messages saying, well, humans are an invasive species too and we're unnatural. Well, go and fucking kill yourself first.
No, that's right.
You do it first.
Let's call for the coal. Nobody wants to do the coal.
No.
And no one's going to volunteer for it.
I'm not saying that I agree with how massive the human population is getting and massive cities and all that sort of pollution and everything that goes with it. I'm not saying I agree with that, but I'm just saying that who is anyone to be the authority on, well, you can't have kids anymore, or you need to die.
You need to die. No, well, if I need to die, you need to die.
Yeah.
That's basically
how
do you justify who's more important than the other person? And they put it in those perspectives. And
I'll tell you the difference. The
craziness.
difference is you either make a good difference to the world or you don't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whatever it is, recycle, plant trees, you know, look after nature, you know, basically be
a good person.
Be a good, well, I'd say be a good cunt, but some people don't like that, but that's what I'd say. And so there's a positive difference that you can make with your time on the earth here.
As long as we're still allowed to say human, not Hugh people.
Hugh people. You know what I mean? It's like, there's the difference. So these people that write me these messages, you know, well, what difference are they making?
No.
Tell me what difference they are. I don't want to have a negative impact on the earth, so I try and do things that aren't a negative impact on the earth, that are positive, you know. And look, hunting's one of them, and having wild game meat's one of them, and the many other things, you know, that I try and do, including raising my kids so they're the same, so they're respectful, they don't litter, you know, they don't do stupid things that are going to affect the environment, you know.
I mean, everyone has been born, everybody who's alive has been born to exist.
Yeah.
And everyone has a right to exist because you've been born. That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
How you choose to exist is what makes the difference.
Yeah.
You know, for mine, the biggest one, you know, just for mine, the biggest thing about being in this world is just being respectful of other people. If you're respectful of other people, everything goes fine.
Oh, exactly.
People stick their nose in other people's business when they have no right to, and you know, a lot of people do things that I don't agree with, but I don't go stand over them and tell them you're doing the wrong thing.
I just don't.
And I do things I'm sure some other people don't agree with, but I didn't expect them to come tell me. I'm being a decent, good person.
Yeah.
I'm not being violent. I'm not stealing from people. I'm not trying to sleep with other people. Yeah, just being a disruptive person in society. I'm being a part of society and blending in.
Yeah.
Let me be. You don't know how many times I've
wouldn't even say
people don't know how many times I've hunted.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that you're blending in. I would just say that it seems like you're blending in because you're a good, respectable person. You're nice to others. You do upon others how you do upon yourself, or how you'd like to feel.
Yep.
And that does make you blend in, because, you know, but some people don't want to blend in.
No,
They
sometimes you
want to
just come across, like, I've been hunting 1,000,000 times, and each time I've gone hunting, maybe no one knew I went hunting, and no one was hurt, no one was bothered. There's absolutely nothing changed in that person's, anybody else's world. My world, I was doing what I was doing. And then one time you go hunting and then someone gets upset about it. It's like, what are you upset for now? I've gone 1,000,000 times. Why all of a sudden is it a problem? It's never done a thing to your life ever before.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's a problem? Come on, man. Go do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do. I've done it 1,000,000 times, and you've never had a feather ruffled, and now you decide you want to get your feathers ruffled?
No, it's...
For what?
Yeah. But I think that goes really well with, you know, when someone just shoots like a mediocre buck, you know, let's talk about trophy size. When someone shoots a mediocre buck, no one sort of says anything. As soon as someone shoots something big, you know, they poached it.
Pet shot.
They shot it in a high fence, you know, or that was the deer that I was chasing for the last couple of years, you know, and they shot it under, like, there's always all that rumour mill,
on his ear.
mate, all that rumour mill bullshit comes out as soon as someone shoots something big.
But then it goes the other way. When someone shoots something small, oh, what'd you shoot that for?
Yeah, it's like,
you know, I'm like,
shit, can't ever
who
win.
gives a
No,
shit, man?
No, that's right.
If you didn't know I shot that deer, and then you went out to where I went hunting, and you shot a deer, good on you.
Yeah.
I shot a deer, you don't know about it, but then suddenly you know that I shot a deer, and what'd you shoot that one for? You should let that one get bigger. If you didn't know that I'd shot it, what difference does it make to your life? That's what I'm talking about, where
and
I go out and do things. It's your thing that you're doing. As long as you're not being a bad person and...
No, what you did was legal.
Doing something
was
physically...
moral.
Yeah.
You know, how can someone have an issue with that?
They can't.
No.
They just can't. You're having a good time. Every time someone steps into the bush to go hunting, that's the key word. You're not going out there to carry your bow around or carry your gun around because I just want to go out and carry my bow. You're going out there to hunt. So the only thing that comes up and you're in an area that doesn't have massive trophies, or you get a rare opportunity, or you hardly ever get to hunt something, and you're going to shoot the first thing pops up, power to you, mate.
Good on you.
Shoot what you want to shoot. When I was on that elk hunt in Montana, I had 7 days. I had one decent elk come within 90 metres in 7 days. When I had that last afternoon, man, I was looking at every spike satellite cow
just,
within
yeah.
100 metres thinking, you know what, I've come all the way to America. Yes, I didn't have any opportunities literally for cows or anything for so many days because it was hot. It was like 30 plus degrees. You know, I was willing on that last afternoon, I was just going to crack something. So what? I came to America to shoot an elk, I was going to shoot an elk. Got lucky, shot a bomber, so be it. But you know what? That was the thing that came in front of me, I had my opportunity on. But if one of those satellite bulls came within range during that stalk, I was going to shoot him.
Yeah, yeah.
And people, oh, you went all the way to America and you shot a 4x4. What'd you do that for? Well, that was the hunt.
Yeah,
I hunted hard for 7 days, nothing come in front of me. So
the perfect example is, like, I wouldn't do that. Like, I wouldn't.
I would, because it was my
one
once in the lifetime dream hunt. You know?
I wouldn't do that. I don't have an issue with that. And I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't have done it. I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with it, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just because it's something that I wouldn't do doesn't mean that it's wrong, dude. And it doesn't mean that I have to now write you a message behind a computer screen saying that you're a cockhead because, you know, you shot a mediocre bull.
Yeah.
The truth is, though, you didn't shoot a mediocre bull, you shot an absolute freaking bomber, which was awesome. And there's a cool story behind it, because I'd seen him a couple of days later and told you that he was moving down towards your part of the range.
Yeah.
And then the fact that that's the bull that kept that herd, like 100 cows.
I didn't know killed, at the time that was that bull.
Freaking amazing, dude.
No, it was good fun. That was very good fun.
You know, but I'd just be respectful of other people, and like I just don't see I don't see the need to cause drama. Like, what, it doesn't benefit anyone. Like, I keep saying that. Like, if it doesn't benefit anyone, why the hell would you do it? Why would you say it? Why would
you get upset with someone if they've physically done something to you, and it's upset. You know, it's upset you. Like, there are things. You know, someone's cracked onto your missus, someone's bloody punched in the face. You know, if you physically did something to someone, you have every right to be upset with them. But to be upset with someone based on hearsay, rumours, you don't like their style of what they're doing or anything like that, it's really pointless. You're really achieving. You don't achieve anything. You actually bring a negativity into your own life over something that you really don't know a person, you don't know why they're doing what they're doing, you've got no reason behind them. And you know what? At the end of the day, you might meet that person face to face and realise, you know what, they're actually a pretty good guy.
No, and that's what usually happens.
Joe Rogan, he talks about getting high. He swears his ass out. He does everything that could be classed as, oh, I don't want bow hunting associated with that. Yet the guy is the biggest he's the biggest profile lifter of bow hunting in the world.
Yeah.
No one has as big an audience as Joe Rogan does.
Yeah.
Yet there isn't one person who turn around and say, Joe Rogan, you need to shut your fucking mouth. Because you smoke drugs and you swear.
Well, there probably is, but Joe's...
yeah, but you know
really
what? But this is where we talk about the mountain and the speck of dust. There might be 10 people, there might be 10,000 people who won't agree with what Joe says, but there's 2 million people who love what he says. There's 2 million people who are potentially going to get into the outdoor life, who are or not even going to get into it, because not everyone is made to bow hunt, not everyone is made to... It doesn't matter, it's part of your DNA as well. Some people, you can go out and you can take the life of an animal and all those instinctive feelings come back to you and things like that. But there's a massive crowd of people out of those 2 million who won't go and do it, but instead of out there trying to shut the thing down, which is what happens to us, we lose our opportunities to hunt not because of the government decides. No, it's because people put pressure on the government to decide to do it.
Yeah.
So the more people who are out there just being accepting of what we do, the better standing we're going to have. Just like your article in the newspaper here. Might not bring out all these bow hunters, and so be it. If it does, it's good. If it doesn't, but what it's done, instead of having 90% of the population oblivious to what we do and then being easily blindsided by someone who's a greenie who says, oh, cruelty to animals, RSPCA is going to find this person's gone. No, those people say, hang on a minute, no, I ain't going to listen to that crap. I've just read this. Now I'm thinking, wow.
You've got the information.
That's what a hunt does. You know what? And that's what we talked about before. People can be educated as educated can be, but what are they educated in? Doesn't mean they're dumb people, just that they didn't know anything about the other side of the argument. they're well educated, they've done a uni degree or whatever, but it's only in one topic. And that one topic might have been influenced by someone who's on that side of the fence that will hate hunting at all costs. But then that person who's that smart finally gets exposed to something where they just read a newspaper article. Oh, I need to look into this, starts doing some Google research. Oh, really? Listens to a Joe Rogan podcast where he talks about hunting, and every podcast now he can't help himself. He loves it that much because he's so passionate about it. And then suddenly it's like, oh, all my life I've always thought hunting's terrible. These people who hunt are Neanderthals, they're animals, they shouldn't be in society. Now all of a sudden it's, oh, he hunts. He's actually a pretty cool dude. And then that's it. There's more acceptance. Guess what? Less arguments, less government pressure, more hunting opportunities. Don't have to fight every 10 years for our right to hunt. So that doesn't mean you're converting hunters. You don't need to convert hunters. But you need people to understand that hunting isn't a bad thing. That's where the power of it all is, and people should never step away from that. What that actually means to us as a hunting community is massive. And you know what? It takes a high profile to get that across to the masses. You don't do it with 1,000 followers. You don't do it with writing in a hunting magazine that hunters read. You do it in mainstream. And, you know, I'll tell you right now, that's for a New South Wales newspaper that's that big. That's the first time that's happened, New South Wales newspaper. And whether it was Adam Greentree in your newspaper, whether it was Jimmy Cracker in that newspaper who was a bow hunter, it doesn't matter. It was a bow hunter who had a positive article with not one negative written in the whole colour lift out of a major magazine, major newspaper that has got endless amounts of greatness to come out of it for the hunting community.
And I got no bad backlash out of that at all, dude. It was just all real positive. So we will call it quits. I've got to pick the kids up from school.
There was still more. We're going to cut them, man.
There was. We can come back and do a little bit more, but I don't mind, whatever.
Myself,
2 hours and 10 minutes we've been going for. But dude, thanks for coming on again. It was awesome.
It's all right.
And
it's a shame we have to talk about some of the negative stuff. I don't like it. I always try to stay away from it.
I don't want to waste a single second on it, but it's the same as bow hunting. It's nice to put it out there and educate maybe some younger dudes that are coming up through the ranks. Like, I've been doing it for 20 years and I've probably put up with a lot of negative over the last 12 or so. It's just part of being a name, dude. It's just part of putting yourself out there. It's part of being in the public's eye. There's just negative people in life. It's as simple as that. So, you know, you just can't waste a second on them. You just got to keep moving on, trying to get to the goal that you're trying to reach. And my goal is to promote ethical hunting and the outdoors. It's as simple as that. A good life. It's what I believe is a really good life. So, but yeah, that's all good. But thanks for coming on again, and we'll do this plenty more times. Like you and April and Kim are pretty much my only guests, and I'd keep it that way if I could, because you guys are the most interesting people that I know.
I'm not interested
in life. You are, dude. You're a very intelligent person.
No.
So thanks for coming on. This episode was actually sponsored by Option Archery, which is awesome. I know you use all the option gear as well. The Quiverlizer, which a lot of people ask me about. The Quiverlizer is an awesome bit of kit. It's basically a stabilizer and a quiver in one. So you cut your bow weight down by, I would say, half of, rather than having a stabilizer and a quiver. It's much more practical, I find, on the front. It also clips onto the side of the bow. Dan Evans, which was the owner of Trophy Taker at one point, that company's been sold now. But if you just look at the things that Dan has designed and made,
genius.
Like, dude,
he's a genius.
The dude's a genius. He's an absolute innovator. And the option site that I use, I think you use the option 6 and I use the option 6. It's a site where you can actually flip the housing out of the way, so all your fixed pins are on a housing, that flips out of the way, and you just got one single floater pin that goes up and down.
So I used that gear for the first hunt this past week, and it is good.
The bow feels
the
so
shooting
much
is
more
unreal.
streamlined.
The best is carrying your bow around
over your shoulders.
Everybody asks Adam, what's that bow
do you
slinger?
carry
How do you
your
carry
bow?
your bow? How's that attached to your packer? Nah, it's because the Quiverlizer's got this length out here. You sit it over your neck.
It just sits
Just
right there.
all day. You don't have to carry nothing in your hands. You got your hands free to climb. it's awesome. Like I used it for the first time
It
and I
is,
loved
it's
it.
perfect,
And then
right?
obviously the advantage of having a long stabilizer and having that weight out further in front of your bow gives you takes out that pendulum. You know, if you got nothing, you know, your hand shakes a bit. When you got the weight out there, it actually steadies it a lot quicker,
Yeah.
which is the purpose of a stabilizer, and that's why you see a lot of target archers have got very long stabilizers. Well, the quivalizer gives you that, carries your arrow at the same time. It is,
Yeah.
and
You're
then
not
the
throwing
sight
all the
itself,
extra weight on there.
bomb-proof,
Yeah.
clear. I mean, it's a bomb-proof, awesome sight.
Yeah.
So, look, I used it for the first time, and I'm sold. Like, I'm not going to shoot. Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome, mate. I'm so stoked that the sponsors for this podcast and this will continue to stay this way are actually companies that I already use. It's going to be stuff that I already use. I'm not going to get on here and be like, you know, these sneakers from whatever the company are, you know,
sketches.
get on and buy them, because I wouldn't know. I'm actually going to be promoting, and these companies are going to be helping me promote Bowhunters Life as well. So,
Well, I think before, and that the truth in that is that Adam's been using the quivalizer for a long time, and the sight for a long time, and the proof's in the pudding in the terrain he's been in, the animals he's shot. It's not like he's just saying, use a quivalizer
No,
because
dude.
they pay for this.
Exactly.
No, I was using all that, you know, he's using that gear before sponsorship came along and all
Yeah.
those sorts
And
of
I
things.
don't take on sponsors that are just like, oh, we want you to shoot our product, we'll pay you this amount of money. I don't take on sponsors like that. I take on companies that already believe in their products, so
Yeah.
which is cool. But anyway, let's wrap this up. You might as well come for a run with me and pick up these gorgeous kids from school, which would be keen to see us. And thanks for tuning in to Bowhunters Life. Yeah, there you go.